so you can see the take it ease.
Yeah, I'm trying to get a better.
There you go.
There you go.
All right, everyone. Wait, I just gotta press go live again. Something I don't know why it does this. All right, I think we're actually live. Yep, here we are. We're live. Welcome. Today's topic, we're gonna talk about how James Schramko, how his advice transformed, literally and figuratively, our online business. So first, before we get into the details of the show, we got merch. Check out my shirt. It's nothing to sneeze at. And Mike, what does yours say, Mike?
Says, take it easy.
Show him the back real quick. Show him the back.
I'm situated very weirdly. I don't know.
Well, the back says build assets online. So we're not gonna get all contorted to show you guys, but buildassetsonline.com/merch if you want to pick one up. They're nothing to sneeze at. And thank you to
Yeah, and we'll be doing and soon these are going to be part of the elite fleet. So this is going to be our uniform.
That's right. That's right. I figure, you know what? Why not make all your own clothes? You could do it nowadays.
I don't know if this counts as making your own clothes. This is just ordering clothes online. That's your own, right?
Yeah.
Unless we're unless you're crocheting the clothes together. That's a good blog site, Joe.
Crocheting?
You know, how to make your own clothes.
Yeah, why not?
That whole niche.
Why not? All right, so let's talk about James Schramko. James Schramko, give a little introduction about who he is, and then I'll get into like how we first encountered him.
Yeah, so James Schramko, he's an online business guy. He's been around for probably at least a decade. He does a podcast, does some other online business stuff, but really, I think right now he focuses on his membership site. He does business coaching, and that's really about it. You probably haven't heard of him besides from Joe and I talking about him. We mention him pretty often, but he's definitely had a very important impact. But there's a reason you haven't heard of him, which I think we'll get into that, and it's going to be a very important aspect of the show.
Oh, I actually don't know the reason, but I'm excited to find out. So let's set the stage.
Yep.
What year was it, Mike, that was it like 2017 around there?
2015.
2015?
No.
No, it was 2017.
No, 2017. 2017, you're right.
All right. It was 2017. It was 2017. Our first dropshipping store was in its infancy. You know, at that point, you had just got back from like 2 or 3 month thing in Thailand. You went to Vietnam as well. So we basically made this store. You left the country, and things were going all right. We were making some sales, but we weren't really sure, can we rely on this income stream? So you saw this conference that was hosted by Ezra Firestone. It was called Smart Marketer, and we didn't know who James Schramko was.
It's called Ecom All Stars.
Ecom All Stars, yes.
Smart Marketer is his business.
Yeah, sorry. Smart Marketer is his business. Ecom All Stars was the conference. So we get to the conference. We're honestly not even sure what we're going to learn. You know, maybe we were making a couple $100 a month with our dropshipping store at this point, if that. And we're watching the presenters, and most of the presenters on day 1, day 2, they were just all about like Facebook and social media and Facebook ads and different Facebook funnels and different ways to use Facebook ads. And, it was all right. We're learning some stuff, but nothing that was really applicable to what we were doing. If anything, it was making us second guess the business model we were in. Because we actually talked to Ezra, which we covered in another episode. We told him, the way we were doing dropshipping, and he's like, don't do that. Make your own brand. Basically do low ticket AliExpress, but private label where you're making your own brand. That's basically what he told us. So anyway, we could revisit that later if you want, but it got to James Schramko talking, and his presentation was just totally different because it wasn't really about the tactics of any particular business model. It was just about the strategy and how like the thing he said at the conference was, it's not about bringing your laptop to the beach. It's about going to the beach without your laptop, because that was kind of the meme, is like you could take your laptop to the beach and work from anywhere. So his whole thing was basically on outsourcing. And it was at that point where we're like, whoa, like we work in such a terrible way. Like at that point, we didn't have any VAs. The phone would ring for our dropshipping store. It would be like, yo, Mike, are you getting that? And he'd be like, no, I can't. Are you getting that? And so like there was no organization whatsoever.
Yeah.
You'd be like, and then
We were answering calls like on the way to the conference, like we're in San Diego in our hotel, just doing customer service, before the conference, like stupid stuff. But go on.
Yeah, and it was just such a high level strategic business presentation that I knew from then that like something had to change. Because yeah, everyone else was talking about the tactics and the Facebook stuff, but at the end of the day, he made me realize that the tactics are almost irrelevant. Like once you have something that works, all you have to do is repeat it at scale, and the only way to repeat it at scale is to have someone doing the work. And so that's my story, Mike. You could maybe get into a little bit of the finer details.
Yeah, I mean, when we talk about outsourcing now, like, oh, sorry, hold on one second. I unmuted you talking in the YouTube, but yeah, like, I mean, outsourcing, obviously everyone has heard of it. Everyone has it rammed down their throats nowadays, I feel like. But that was the first time for us it really clicked that, like, hey, if we actually want to be successful, we have to start outsourcing now. We can't wait until we're successful and then start outsourcing. And that's really a key distinction. Is I think we were scared of it. We had this just idea in our heads that we can do this all ourselves. And just from hearing this talk, which I don't think was the main, like, I've learned more things through his book and through his podcast, and through his membership. But what happened was when we went and we made that next store, we were able to do things at such a higher level and at so much quicker because we outsourced a large portion of it. So I have some notes here that I want to discuss that are actually kind of from his book, Work Less, Make More, which I do recommend most people read. And the first time, when we kind of came across his advice, the outsourcing thing was super applicable. But really what he specializes in is, I guess, once you're, say, like at like $1,000, increasing your profit while decreasing your hours. And I think that's what was happening to us, Joe. We were like just grinding things out too much. And I would not recommend that for any sort of beginner starting out. So my first note here is 464. So Joe, do you know what 464 is?
It's like the better 80-20.
Well, it's so it's the 80-20 of the 80-20. So yeah, it's 80-20 squared essentially. So people talk about, 20% of your actions, 20% of your effort is actually what produces 80% of your results, and vice versa. 80% of what you're doing is actually only producing 20% of your results. So again, this may sound like cliche advice, but I think in the Elite Fleet, this is something that we really try to not even hammer home, but guide people towards, because we see it all the time. People have different ideas. They want to try doing different things, doing things in a different way. And we've kind of come towards, we've figured out the straight and narrow path for getting things up and running. And until you've gotten that straight and narrow path done, there's no point in thinking about anything else. And so the 464 essentially means that 4% of your actions can make up 64% of your results. And if you think about where your business is at and you're able to just really strip it down and think about, like, what is it that I'm doing very little of that is actually producing the majority of my results, there is something there. So I would say for dropshipping, for sure, it is the Google ads, because as long as you're doing Google Ads somewhat correctly, you don't even have to touch it, and it's going to make sales. Especially once you figure it out, it's going to make sales profitably, and everything else from there is basically it's the other part of the 80/20. It's a lot of effort, and it produces minimal results.
Yeah. Yeah, so with dropshipping, if this is your first time listening to us, we own a portfolio of online businesses from dropshipping stores to blog sites, Kindle publishing. But so I want to make a comment on the blog sites for a second because to me, this is where a lot of these principles get amplified. So when we first started doing blog sites, naturally we started with like I was writing all of the articles. Well, we did outsource at first, but then it was like I don't know, I didn't like the quality, so we're like, all right, screw it, I'm gonna write everything. And that really was ineffective because I wasn't able to really focus on the things that actually made the difference when it comes to ranking in Google. And I would say the number one thing that makes a difference when it comes to ranking in Google is first and foremost keyword research. If you don't get a good keyword that you have no chance of ranking for, you're just not going to rank. So when I was writing all these articles, very little brain power was focused on finding good keywords and planning them out in a way that made sense because it was just impossible. Like I had to wake up, right? I was really trying to bang them out at scale, but it wasn't until we hired a full-time writer that I got to focus on the 4% that got the 64% of the results. So now I don't have to spend a lot of time on our blog sites. The main thing I do is keyword research and kind of strategic planning, but now we see our blog sites growing month over month. Well, I would say quarter over quarter because they take a while to grow with minimal effort compared to writing all my own articles every day. And they're growing much, much faster than when I was writing the articles.
Yeah. And I think it comes down to mental bandwidth, and it's almost like a woo concept. I think some people believe it as, but it is really true that so when you're grinding things out, like writing articles yourself, uploading products yourself, it's not even about the time. I mean, it is certainly about the time if you're spending 6 hours a day uploading products, but people don't understand that it's actually really hard to pivot from doing something like that into making a high level business decision, just from a mental standpoint, from a burnout standpoint, because it takes willpower to upload products or do customer service tasks, things like that, and you need to recenter. You need to get in a whole different headspace to do high level tasks. So I think it's worth sacrificing profit in the short term to free yourself up completely from whatever it is that you might be doing, because you can spend, say, an entire day just thinking about what the high level tasks can be in your business, because they may not be obvious. So yeah, the less time you have for thinking about those things, the worse off you may be, and the more time you're going to spend spinning your wheels doing those things that are going to produce you very little results.
Mike, let me ask you this. Would you rather see one of our students, if they say they don't have a lot of money and they don't want to outsource? For me, I'd almost rather see them take like a side gig that they can make money instantly and get their outsourcing systems in place. What would you say to that? Like, for example, like driving Uber or doing Instacart so that you can afford your first VA and give them that 40 hours in the business so they can be productive for 40 hours. That way, when you can be thinking about your business when you're doing your side gig or whatever. You get the idea of what I'm saying. I get
the question.
Yeah.
So, I don't know when the last time you read the book was, Joe, but James Schramko has something called the effective hourly rate. So obviously it would be, take what you make in a month, if we're talking about online business, and take how many hours it took to actually make that amount in profit. So I think a lot of times starting out, your effective hourly rate is near zero because you're not making much money and you're working a whole lot. So it would become a question of, if I'm doing Uber and I'm making $13 an hour or $15 an hour, but then I'm hiring someone for $4 an hour to do all this stuff for me, that might be a decent trade-off. So
I think it would be a great
yeah, I mean,
trade-off.
I would possibly agree with that sentiment.
I think it would be a
Yeah.
great trade-off. And then when things are rolling, when your business grows from that, you already have the system in place. You don't have to scramble to get it in place. So, yeah, should we move on to SOPs? Because I think this is actually pretty
Yeah.
important and something that very corporate. So an SOP is a standard operating procedure, and it actually is a necessary part of outsourcing. Something you can kind of comment. You've read his book more times, so you can comment more on how James Schramko describes it and his approach to it. But for me, it's one of the most important parts of getting an employee in the door so they have a base level understanding of what to do. And they're always going to mess stuff up. But if you have the SOP as the groundwork and you course correct from there, that's how you can kind of train a rock star employee, in quotes, because people use that word in business stuff.
Yeah, no. I don't think we're perfect at this, but obviously the idea is, I mean, if you think about the big corporations out there, like they're not freaking out if an employee leaves ever. Their business is going to go on. They have standardized processes for every part of their business, and it's easy to slide people in and out. And honestly, as a business owner, you want to be like this as well. And Michael Gerber talks about this in the E-Myth. It's a whole book about outsourcing and hiring and stuff like that. But yeah, if you're not making standard operating procedures for every part of your business, then it's just going to create more hours of work for you. Say if someone leaves and you need to hire someone else, or just hiring someone for the first time. So it's really important, even if you're not even thinking about hiring someone yet, it's worth taking the time as you're doing something to write down how it's actually done, or even record yourself doing it. That way, once you want to hire someone, you just hand them over these files, hand them over the documents, they can watch the videos, and they can pick it right up and take it from there.
Yeah, and like you said, we're definitely not the best at this. I feel like sometimes I remake SOPs a lot, just because we don't have them in that organized of a fashion. But still, going through the act of actually doing it is really the important part. It's not like we're a 1,000 employee corporation where everything has to be filed in its neat place or perfectly. But just yeah, you have to do it. And you cannot, when you're outsourcing and you're making an SOP, I would say there is no detail that's too small. And I'm going to give an example that happened just the other week. And the person that I'm going to give this example about is actually going to hear this because he's our podcast editor. And so he was also implementing some of the Pinterest strategies for our blog sites. And he was making a bunch of new pins and he was pinning them to Tailwind. And I didn't tell him so I gave him a bunch of URLs to link to to get like the content ideas from, like to make the pins from our blogs. But I did not tell him that when he schedules a pin on Pinterest that it needs to link back to that actual blog post. So he was actually linking all of these pins on Pinterest back to the homepage. And to me, that was just a detail that I overlooked when I was training him. Because I didn't think about it. Like to me, I've been using Pinterest and using Tailwind for a while. So that was obvious. But to someone else who it's their first time, even if they're super smart, which this individual is, it's easy to overlook certain stuff. And when it comes to outsourcing and SOPs, when stuff like that happens, it's important that you take full accountability for it. Like I immediately I'm like, oh, it's my fault. It's not your fault. Like I didn't stress that enough or even stress it at all. So that's an important aspect of outsourcing is taking accountability, because you're the person that made the process and you're the person that hired the person that's working for you.
Yeah, you can't expect someone to just come into your business and know exactly what they're doing. And the more you have to keep training new people and just it's when you hire someone, especially for the first time, it's going to be a huge energy expense, because not only are you doing what you're normally doing, you have to show them how to do it. So it's actually more hours, but in the end, it should be less. And as you build, as you have more and more employees coming in, they can even be making their own SOPs and training new people coming in. And so that's how your processes really get refined. and it's almost an exponential effect.
Yeah.
And to go back, this is actually why we like Kindle so much, because you talk about 464. I mean, for us, Kindle is the ultimate 464 business. We literally just put up books like once a month, send out a couple of emails, and everything handles itself. It's very easy to train someone. Like, you don't need to have all these crazy SOPs. It's basically just freelance work that people already know how to do. People know how to edit books. They know how to ghostwrite books. So this is a big reason why we like Kindle, is not just about the like making money, but it's about how easy it is to actually outsource and make it more of a lifestyle. So
Yeah.
that kind of brings us to the next topic of setting boundaries for yourself.
Before we move
and your
on,
business.
I do want to make a comment on the Kindle thing. So if you go to buildassetsonline.com/Kindle, which is our Kindle course, and you watch the sales video that I made, I basically make a claim in there how our hourly Kindle rate is like $2,000 or $3,000 an hour, or mine is, or I forgot exactly the way it was phrased. But the thing about that is that it's totally true, because our effective hourly rate on Kindle is so high because we don't like do much for it, because the business is so easy to implement SOPs for, like Mike said. So I just wanted to touch on that, because people don't believe that. Like, I've gotten some flack in the comments, and they're like, oh, blah blah, like those claims are ridiculous. Like, there's no way, blah blah. So yeah, I just wanted to make a comment on that. So setting boundaries.
Yep. And maybe it wasn't like that in the beginning when we've had to learn like this stuff and really wanted to get in depth and understand the Kindle marketplace and stuff like that. But it's very easy to go from, okay, I understand this, I'm starting to get how this all works, to very quickly going 464.
Yeah.
And just doing things consistently for a little period of time each month and watching your earnings increase. So yes, that effective hourly rate is definitely true. And setting boundaries for yourself and your business. So really what this means is, it goes back again to the whole grinding thing, to the whole being at the beach with your laptop type idea. That is a perfect example of not setting a boundary, because you're not separating yourself and your life from the business. And so this is probably something I'm still victim of. But Joe, I know, like you're very good, I think, at setting boundaries. There's times when you go on your phone. There's times where you stay away, you let things get handled, and you come back to it when you want to come back to it.
That's not necessarily true. I mean, I feel like the wheels are, I'm always thinking of stuff. That's the thing, is like, I'm always thinking of keywords. I'm always thinking of strategies.
Yeah, but I mean, that's good, and I think that's because you like it. But it's like, you're not doing grunt work all the time. You're not answering emails all the time. There has to be some sort of boundary that you set, where you say, hey, I'm not going to answer emails between this time and this time. I'm not going to do certain things. And I think it goes back to being able to free up like your mental bandwidth, so you can do things if you want, like with your friends, with your family,
that's
spouse,
right.
or you can just have your mind clear from all those other little things and do some more higher level thinking.
I would agree with that. I mean, so our aim is to ultimately get our business, and this is going to tie into the next section, which is lifestyle over business metrics. Our ultimate goal is to get our business completely free of any of that work in particular, even for Build Assets Online, except if it's at an extremely high dollar value. So obviously, starting Build Assets Online, we knew that in order to build up some credibility, we have to offer our services at a rate that's, cheaper than we'd like to offer it. So, at first the Elite Fleet started at $47 a month. Now it's $67 a month. That price is going to be going up again soon. And the reason is because in the next section, we'll talk about lifestyle over business metrics. I would rather have 100 students paying $97 a month than 1,000 paying like $10 a month or something like that. Or rather say that, to put that even better, I would rather earn half the amount of money with a smaller fraction of the work than more money and just be overwhelmed all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really want to add that, like, times that I've gone away, like on vacation, where I literally couldn't work on the business because, say, there's like a huge time difference. A number of things have happened. One, my employees have gotten better because I was able to let go of the reins, and so they were able to get more confidence in the job, and they were able to just, I think, learn a lot more, and without me being overbearing, which I don't think I am too much anymore because I've been able to let it go through that. Business usually grows somehow. It's just a coincidence I've noticed. But the most important thing is actually being away from doing those things. I've come up probably with the best ideas during that time because I'm not even involved in the day-to-day. I'm not even thinking about it. So my mind can go to those type of things. Like, I was thinking about this the other day. Probably one of the, like, I remember a big turning point when we were making our second dropshipping store. We were in the airport coming back from Amsterdam the first time we went there, Joe. And I just had like this, something just clicked to search for a certain product. And we were in the airport, so I had nothing to do. So I did it, and I found it. And that was like, this is like one of the biggest breakthrough products for our business. So
I really don't remember that one.
I don't think, I don't even know if we were talking about it when it was happening, but okay. I really remember this distinctly because it felt like I don't know. I felt like my mind was clear, and I was just able to think of more things. And sometimes when I go away, like, that's when I do my best Google Ads work because I'm not half talking to an employee about something, doing this, an order comes in. Oh wait, I'm gonna, fulfill this, and going back to ads, trying to look at the ads. That's not when you do your best work. Some of the best like ads breakthroughs and deep dives I've done have been in these moments of just being totally separate via time zone and all that. So
yeah, and I actually want to flash an image on the screen for the YouTube watchers of when we were in Amsterdam, because we took a photo. We took a photo in a coffee shop.
That was the second time in Amsterdam.
Yeah. We took a photo in a coffee shop, and it's got the Shopify cha-ching thing going. I'll pull up the image. Just hold on a second. Just give me 1 second, and I'll pull up the image. Sorry if you're listening.
I'm gonna read a comment from Nathan
on the podcast.
Nathan says Tim Ferriss mentioned something about that in the 4-hour work week when he was afraid to take time off, but it ended up thriving while he was gone. Yeah, Nathan, there's no rhyme or reason, I guess, why this happens, but I've certainly noticed it happening multiple times. Like, really, maybe it's just it feels like your business is doing more because you're working less on it, but it doesn't go down. And I think that's just a really important mental barrier to overcome, is that your business is not going to just fade away once you've left if you've outsourced things to a semi-decent level. There you go, Joe. It's up.
There you go. So, I mean, this picture really shows that when you outsource things correctly, like, that's what happens. That's what happens. All the growth happens when you're not thinking about it. So
yeah, and I mean, this is a bit of a troll.
Yeah, we're taking. But
it
definitely. Ironically, we're taking this picture.
Just.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it I think it demonstrates the next point, which is lifestyle over business metrics. And so we talked about that a bit with the setting boundaries type thing, but I think, like you said, Joe, you would rather, say, make half of the money if it meant working a quarter of the time and taking up, only a quarter of your mental energy.
Yeah.
And that gives you opportunity to do other stuff. And maybe this isn't going to resonate for someone that isn't making like a decent amount of money yet, like they're not making enough money to live off of yet, because they still need to put in that extra work to like find that one important breakthrough that's going to lead to them making a lot of money. But for some people who, I know a lot of people listen to this that do well. So it is important to consider, like, how much further do you need to go, and can you actually live like the lifestyle that you want now by just trimming off things?
Well, in the end, I mean, I think in the end, when you do that, I think you end up making more money, because once you set that boundary and you have the lifestyle over business mentality, you're not going to take on new things that are going to overwhelm you. And I think that is really we're really executing on that with the way we're bringing our portfolio now, how we're bringing it to starting a bunch of new blog sites, maybe putting out new Kindle books, really reinvesting into the most passive of the passive of the online business models. So if you look at oh, sorry, we just got a comment from our podcast editor, Josh Matthew. Okay, so about that pick, y'all are the coolest clients I ever had on my past 4 years of working freelance. Well, thank you. Oh man, I lost my
watching the live stream.
Yeah. I lost.
You're talking about the way that we do our portfolio now. We're talking about lifestyle over metrics.
Yeah. So we're just putting up the blog sites. We might double down on some on putting out Kindle books, and that's because it's just like we know that those business models are not going to cause us additional headache. Even if all our employees were to leave tomorrow, we'd still have plenty of time for them to make money without us lifting a single finger before we have to put anything back in place. And it could probably, all that stuff will probably make money for years to come without us having to do anything.
Yeah. And that's why the affiliate stuff is so good, because you can just kind of put things up, let them do its thing. But that's once you figure out what you're doing and you can execute on the 464.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. I mean, once you're setting aside time to like actually live a certain life, then say if it does give room for another opportunity, because I mean, like, I know myself, I'm addicted to, I think, doing new things. I'm addicted to like the, new opportunities. I think that's a common thing for a lot of people that are probably watching this. But yeah, if you're not setting boundaries and you're not actively setting aside time to engage in whatever lifestyle you want, then you're going to wind up just picking up new things to do and new things to do and new things to do. And you may miss out on a really good opportunity, or you just may not be able to fit it in, and something's going to have to, I don't know, you're going to overwhelm yourself. Yeah. James Schramko would recommend, say, like, decide what you're going to do for the next 12 weeks and just do that, and don't consider any opportunities. Just put them on hold until you get to the end of that 12 weeks, and then weigh out your options for what you're going to do the 12 weeks after that. Yeah. And we don't necessarily do that. I think we move a bit faster and we have a lot more moving parts, but it is, it's an important idea that you shouldn't just always be open for new things. Eventually you need to close off, get what needs to be done. And then at the end of that, once you've kind of achieved those basic goals, you can look at where you're at and decide, should I stop doing this? Should I start doing this? So yeah, that's
so I think the most important thing is that you don't actually that you don't drop the ball. So right now I'm in the process of developing a completely new niche site, different than we've ever done before. And it's actually it's a game. So it's like a web-based game that I want to rank for in Google. So it's going to be like a one-page site. Maybe it'll have some supporting pages, but it's going to be like a one-page site. And I never developed a game before. Not that I'm coding it, but it was a lot of new steps where I had to like find the freelancer, find the guy that's going to program the game, get the graphic assets to make the game. And it's been just a lot of back and forth with the developer, with the graphic designer, making a few designs myself. And it's very, very easy for me to drop the ball on it. Like there's been a few days where I'm like, oh, damn, I got to do that again today, and I'll like kind of almost forget about it because it's I don't know, it's not something I normally do, and I could just easily I just let it fall to the wayside. But yeah, you have to really make sure that you, whether it's 12 weeks or whether it's 4 weeks, you have to make sure that when you set out to do something, you actually finish it. You take it to its furthest point that you intended to take it,
Mm-hmm.
and then evaluate it from there.
Yeah, because if you take on something too quickly and without really evaluating it enough, then you may wind up going into something that you weren't prepared to see through for many months. And now you're kind of half working on this thing. Maybe there's a partner involved, and it's going to get weird because, you kind of don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
So, yes, very important. Set the boundaries, kind of just give yourself room there.
Yeah.
So what is next? I have
Making Grange.
making Grange.
Yeah.
Yes, making
That,
Grange. So, that is a term that James Schramko uses, and what Grange is, it's an expensive Australian wine. So, from what I've been told, Grange, it's a very, I'd say, delicate process, and it's a long process to make Grange. So, it's really a metaphor for your business. You need to consider things in the long term, and don't burn yourself out trying to just create this miracle business in 30 days, 60 days. Although things can certainly start taking off at that point, you need to really understand that you're in this for the long haul, and you're in this to create a high quality, superior product. So, anything to add, Joe?
I think the best example we have of this is the Build Assets online business, because compared to all the other stuff we do, it is in such a competitive space. Like the make money online industry is so insanely competitive, and just doing research, like doing keyword research on YouTube and Google, forget about it. Forget about doing keyword research on Google. I mean, yeah, we do rank for stuff, and we're going to continue to rank for stuff, but it's compared to other niches, like where there's like no other sites doing the same thing you're doing, or no other YouTube channels. If you like look up a YouTube keyword about like drop shipping or anything related to like blogging or Kindle publishing, like any YouTube keyword difficulty tool basically spits out, if you're a new channel, that you're not going to rank for this. And when you're starting a YouTube channel, it's very important that you actually rank for search, because YouTube's not going to give you any love like in any other means. Like you don't have many subscribers, so you're not going to be showing up in people's home feed in the suggested as much. So it's very important that search is a part of your strategy for a new YouTube channel. So if this was any other niche, I'm sure we could do this a lot faster. But because this is so competitive, we have to, at least I have to remind myself, this is like making Grange. Like it's going to take a while, slow and steady wins the race. And I think about where it could be in 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, rather than focusing on the next like month or even 6 months, because it is such a slow process. And the other thing is
Mm-hmm.
you have to, there's a lot of aspects to it. So it's not just ranking for videos and showing up and getting in front of people. It's also building trust with the audience that you do have, and the course and the members that you do have, to increase obviously their happiness, but to also increase lifetime customer value and grow potential partnerships down the line and all that stuff. So there's a lot of thought that goes into the process that we do, and it is very, very long term.
Mm-hmm. And when you say process, like, people need to understand that things are constantly building. You can't expect to have everything figured out in 1 month and just sprint to that goal. It is essentially about, you're going to learn things along the way. You're going to refine things along the way, and it's going to get better and better and better. So, a lot of people, they're doing their stores, or maybe doing Kindle publishing, they're doing their blog sites. They're not seeing the results they want yet. You know,
Yeah.
obviously we have resources, and we help a lot of people doing that, but you can't just think that you're going to sprint to the finish line. You need to consider that there may be more to go through, and so it's worth it to just take your time, go through the process, and take it easy.
Yeah, actually, let me pull
It'll
up.
be it'll be worth it in the end.
Let me throw up another screenshot real quick. This is related to one of our blog sites. I posted this in the Elite Fleet this morning. This was the first blog site we ever made, and it was a total flop at first. Like I talked about this multiple times, but basically for the first year of the site, it barely got any traffic, and we started in 2017. And so this is just one of the sites that we have. So I compared the last 30 days versus the 30 days, same 30 days last year. And so in the last 30 days, this is organic traffic only. It got 800. Damn it. How do you say that number? I can't say it. 140,
Well, Joe, if there's a comma, say 1,000.
140,804. Is that how you'd say it?
Yeah, yeah.
So it got 140,000
There you go.
organic users or so this year in the last 30 days. And up from last year, it's up about 107,000. So last year, maybe it got like 33,000 in 30 days, and now it got 140,000 in 30 days. So that's up 318%. And month
Wow.
over month, day over day, it's hard to see that. But year over year, quarterly, that's when you start to see these big increases as you refine what you're doing, and then time passes.
Maybe there's a reason why these corporations talk about things like that. You
Like
know,
what?
I think as people, like quarterly growth, year over year growth,
Yeah.
they don't talk about day over day growth,
No.
or even month over month necessarily. And it's just, I mean, the more we do, the more I just see how that's a not a huge like factor. Each month is not a huge factor, and even a 1 year in itself is just like, it's kind of like one lap around the sun, right? So you need to keep doing more and more laps to see, okay, because with drop shipping, like some things go in season, some things go out of season. You may not even know it. So every year, what you can keep learning stuff, and yeah, I think we go back to this phrase a lot, but people really overestimate what they can do in a year, and we definitely fall victim to that. I know with that affiliate website, Joe, we were like freaking out every day as to what we can do. You would freak out, write an article or something, and you need to sometimes just step back, think about what the process has to be in order for you to just continue doing something for the long term, and that's really the result.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. So we have the last James Schramko thing we wanted to touch on, which is would Richard Branson do this? Well, that's actually the second to last thing. But would Richard Branson do this? How literally should we take that?
I mean, I don't take it too literally, because I don't think we'd be here. I don't know if he has a podcast, but I think that's a general rule for our general idea for outsourcing is when you're doing something, you need to think about, is this a task Richard Branson would do? And I mean, I think it's certainly like a goal you're always striving to achieve, because you can't just snap your fingers and have everything totally outsourced and have everything figured out kind of in one day. But again, it's always a standard to be weighing yourself as. Like, the way I interpret it is like Richard Branson will be doing just the highest of high level activities that set forth what the business is going to do. And I don't even know what Richard Branson does exactly, besides for like Virgin Airlines. And does he do anything else, Joe?
I have
I
no
assume he's a
idea.
billionaire. He's a private island.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Okay. Yeah, the way I interpret that is you just think about what the highest of high level activities would be, and like work your way towards getting to that point where all you're doing is just making high level decisions.
Yeah.
So for us, I think for dropshipping, it would be just like saying, okay, I want to go after these products. And that would be, and people would upload them, people would call suppliers if we're really executing things at a high level. And then that would all be taken care of. Maybe there's even a step beyond that. Maybe so you have someone else determining what products you're going to go after. And you're just saying, hey, I want to double revenue. I don't know. But again, the idea is that there's always another level that you can take it to. So that's how I interpret it, Joe.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. And obviously, I would say if you ask yourself if Richard Branson would do this, if the answer is maybe, if the answer is never going to be yes in your life, when it comes to a task in your online business, but if the answer is maybe, then maybe you should consider doing it. But anyway, let's talk about the last point is membership. Now, James Schramko makes, I would assume, most, if not all of his money from his membership, the Superfast Business Forum. That's just my speculation.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think that's the main product he offers. And I know there's different tiers to it as well. And so he really taught us the value of recurring membership and has hence been the inspiration for the Elite Fleet. So the Elite Fleet is our membership where you pay. It's very similar to how James Schramko's is set up. He actually has a forum. We have a Discord channel, but and with private channels where you can talk to us directly. James Schramko basically has a similar thing, but on a forum, and people pay a recurring monthly thing to stay in his. People pay a recurring monthly thing to stay in ours, and it's really great because not only do the people in it, they're like way more accountable than we were just selling our course. Like I think it increases the success level of our students by quite a bit than if we just have email support for 30 days and then it runs out and then they have to like do coaching calls separately. But it's all it's very streamlined for us to answer their questions, and we have incentive to answer their questions because they're continuing to pay us. And it's a very, very good model, and it creates a nice little base of income for Build Assets Online because every month,
Yeah, and I think no matter what you're doing, there is probably some level of subscription service that you can offer, or even with affiliate. Like having a website, you kind of can tap into that idea of like knowing exactly what you're going to make each month because traffic levels are consistent. On the other hand, there's algorithm changes. With subscription is really like the highest tier of income that you can make. That's why system as a service or software as a service businesses on Empire Flippers have the highest multiple.
Yeah.
Because it's so predictable. So, yeah, like Joe said, that was our inspiration for setting up the membership group. But I think no matter what you're doing as a listener, there may be some recurring or some subscription thing down the line that you can implement with whatever you're working on. And that is it is something that you should probably do sooner than later, because that's like the ultimate. You're not relying on algorithms, you're not relying on all this stuff, and you have a predictable number that you're going to make each and every month. Although some people churn out, some people churn in, but yeah, subscription models are the top tier of online business.
Yeah, and definitely something we're going to be considering very, very soon. Something to definitely add. So as far as always thinking about lifetime customer value, something else that James Schramko teaches. So we have Build Assets Online. We have people that are in the group. Say we were to make an app or something that's like super useful for people. It's cost for you see someone like Spencer Hawes doing this. He's always making like Link Whisperer and other WordPress apps. He made Longtail Pro, which is basically a subscription service. Yeah, like you said, those have a lot of value.
ClickFunnels.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That's Russell Brunson, but yeah, we'll talk about him in a future.
I know. Yeah, I know that. I know. I'm just saying
Yeah, for sure.
other people who take it very seriously.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's. I mean, that's definitely on the radar for us as well. But maybe in a few years, in a year or two. So.
Mhm.
All right.
Yeah.
That's about it. Should we get to some of the questions?
Let's do it.
All right. So, well, you read Nathan's.
We need like a soundboard for like different segments.
Yeah, that's a good
You
idea.
know?
That's a good idea. I'll look into that. Maybe Josh,
Or like a
maybe our podcast editor could figure that out.
yeah, you might have to buy one though. You know, like a bomb drop thing and
Oh, like for my
just
desk?
different noises. Yeah.
I'm pretty
I don't
sure.
know how else you could do it. Or maybe on your computer.
I'm pretty
on
sure
the
I could do it
desktop.
right in the streaming software. Definitely on my desktop, I could do it
Sure.
without a doubt.
All right.
Um,
Well,
so Davos Dominoes, he says, I was just look on information. I was just wondering if I could make dropshipping possible with $250. If you have $250 to your name and that's all you have, probably not. Just because, I mean, that's not enough. Like,
not enough. It's too much risk. Do you
yeah,
want to have $0 if something goes wrong?
yeah,
We talked about this earlier. You should probably be doing something else on the side that can actually make you money so you can do things right and not be at like an ultimatum
yeah,
doing drop shipping.
yeah. Never put yourself in like, oh, this is it. If this fails, I'm done position. Dropshipping, you can easily be profitable after $250 if everything goes right. But if something goes wrong,
Yeah.
you don't want to be left with your pants down. But just reading your comment, Davos Dominoes, I don't know if your English is good. So if your English is not good, I don't know. Go check out some of our videos. Type in build assets online, Kindle. Make money. Type in build assets online, make money with Kindle, the easy way. And you can follow some of the things we teach in there to make money with Kindle publishing on a very low budget. And we are going to be putting out new videos as well, some more videos on low budget Kindle publishing stuff coming in the future, and it's going to be free. So anyone who
Are we?
I have it planned. I've been doing the keyword research, seeing what we can rank for on YouTube, and that's one of the things we can rank for. So yeah, no, I've yeah. So yeah, go check that out though. We do have a video on that now, Davos. Just like build assets online, Kindle publishing, make money. Nathan asks, "Are you using OBS to stream?" I'm using something called Streamlabs OBS. The regular, I mean, I think it's a totally different company, but the regular OBS is giving me issues. So Andre,
It's OBS, not OBS.
I don't know. I'm just saying the acronym. I'm saying
Okay.
it's like what other acronym do you say? Like out loud.
I don't know. I don't even know. My old job was like all acronyms. Because it was like, with like the military, they have an acronym for every single thing. So
Yeah.
they have, their whole language is basically just they're saying acronyms as words.
Andre asks, what does he ask?
I'll read it. Do you guys have a few employees trained to do a lot of tasks, or lots of different employees doing a specific task they're really good at? I would say it would be the first one, Andre. Employees, I mean, I wouldn't say that they're few, but we train our employees to do a lot of different tasks, especially starting out, because you may not necessarily have something specific someone can do for 40 hours a week. And that is also a big James Schramko principle, is like you don't have to give someone a specific job role of like email support or customer support, or you can go as crazy with it as you need to. And then you just make up whatever a job that job title is. It's not a real thing. So who does my Kindle swaps? She runs a whole store for us, and she works on another store processing orders, doing a specific task.
Yeah. So you got cut off for a
I
second. So
think she does other stuff.
we have a VA that runs our Kindle swaps and does stuff in our dropshipping stores. Is what he said. Sorry, you got cut off for a
Oh,
second.
okay. Yeah, so I mean that's a pretty broad spectrum of things. But yeah, it's whatever tasks you can give someone to do that just fits their hours. Um, and James Schramko would also call this like a skunk works project. So if you have someone like they don't have, if they in their free time, you can give them something to like work on. That's say like a new project. Say it's like uploading products for a future store or doing research. The more time you free up from actually doing tasks, the more time you can spend thinking about, okay, like what's other stuff that can be done, and it fills up a lot quicker than you think. But when it comes down to different employees doing specific tasks, this actually kind of becomes more relevant as you get bigger, because then, okay, yeah, you need someone doing 40 hours a week, just emails. It's like a production line type situation where each specific thing requires, there's so much going on that someone could specialize in a specific thing. And that's when you would kind of go off and do that type of approach. But in the beginning, don't be afraid to give people just like a host of different jobs.
Yeah. So Charles Harmon asks, how are your blog sites making money? Is it by being an affiliate for various products and or ads? It actually makes money from both of those things. So I would say the biggest money makers on our blog sites are Amazon affiliate, ad networks like Mediavine, ClickBank, and yeah, that's mainly the big money makers in our
ClickBank
blogs.
is climbing up there, Joe, right?
Yeah, ClickBank is it's nothing to sneeze at. Let's just put it that way.
About to get a plaque from ClickBank.
Well, the weird thing about ClickBank is that some people put up massive numbers on ClickBank, but the thing is, a lot of them are using like display like native ads, and they're doing like selling like diet pills and like advertising, like you see those those ads. So a lot of times when people are doing that, they actually have like really thin margins. So, we're never going to put up numbers like that on ClickBank, but first of all, I wouldn't want to like sell that kind of stuff. But our margins are 100% because we don't have any ad costs. Like all our ClickBank affiliate comes from organic Google rankings. So, Stephen Ackerley, dropshipping isn't fast lane business. Your thoughts? Dropshipping isn't fast lane business. Your thoughts? Is he saying that dropshipping is not?
I think he's making a statement and asking for our thoughts.
Okay, so what does fast lane business mean? Like it's not fast?
Is he talking about how in Millionaire Fastlane, he says that dropshipping isn't a fast lane activity? Because he actually, the author does say that.
Okay.
So yeah. I mean, Steven, maybe you're an avid listener and you know that we've talked about that. And so I mean, you can clarify if you want, but we'll. I believe it is a fast lane business, but we can get to that if that's actually what you're talking about.
I would say what makes it a fast lane business is the fact that you could sell it. If you can't sell, if you weren't able to sell dropshipping stores, then it really probably wouldn't be a fast lane business. But that's what makes it a fast lane business is that, even if you get a store to make $100 or $1,000 a month, you can sell it for $20,000 to $30,000. So scale that up to $10,000 a month and beyond. I would say you're in the fast lane then once you sell the store.
Yeah. People would say the counterpoint would be that you don't have control because it's not your inventory and different stuff. Okay, he is talking about that. Yeah, I see what the author's point is about it not being a fast lane business, but I actually strongly disagree because I think it's actually one of the fastest ways to making a lot of money because for the same reasons that you can just get access to someone else's inventory that has a way better infrastructure than you. You can get really good margins, like probably even sometimes better than what the supplier themselves is getting. Because if you're getting 40% margins, I mean, that leaves 60% for the supplier, but they have warehouse space, they have staff, and they have some sort of cost that's involved in that too. So like you're getting just as good a margin as them. And yeah, again, you're free to just sell this stuff as much as you want. So I'd say, yeah, it is a fast lane business.
Yeah.
I don't agree with him on that.
If you're not in our free course,
But it's very specific to the way that we do it. Drop shipping as a whole, like AliExpress is not fast lane. So
yeah, we explain this in our free course, buildassetsonline.com/playbook. We kind of addressed that very question. So go check that out. Focused. Who's opinion on dropship? I don't. Who's sawed you all learn high ticket?
Who did?
Oh,
Who
did
did
you all learn high ticket dropshipping from outside of yourselves? Whose opinions on high ticket dropshipping do you trust? I would say we didn't really learn it from one particular person. Once we found out that you could sell other people's products like that, it was really a culmination of like taking a bunch of courses on Google Ads, and we went through like 3 agencies with Google Ads. We went through many courses on SEO, used an SEO agency temporarily to see what they would do. So agencies, and then that course you took on Udemy, what was it, Isaac Rudansky or something?
Yeah. You know what? Yeah, I mean, like those are 2 separate questions because we've taken a lot of dropshipping courses, just different information from all of them, and I think there's not a lot of people who like specifically sell dropshipping that I trust, because I think the whole reason that we make a course is because we believe that everyone else isn't doing it justice. And I mean, yeah, we've invested in agencies, we've invested in different courses, we've invested in coachings, and what we teach is like our own proprietary method that we've used and we've helped people on, just like before, when we didn't have a YouTube channel or anything. So yeah, we don't trust anyone.
There you go. Joe for show. Have you ever used Amazon expanded distribution for your Kindle titles, or do you just stick with Kindle Unlimited page reads and paperback sales as revenue streams?
I think expanded distribution referring to that's a paperback option.
Yeah.
Joe, that like it would put it in like select bookstores or something. Are you more familiar with that?
Yeah, I had my coloring books on that back when it was on CreateSpace, and I never really got any uptick in sales, so I don't really care about it. Just focus on ranking on Amazon.
Yeah, I don't know if they actually report what the difference is.
Yeah, I don't know. I just focus on Amazon.
There you go.
And that's it. Andre says never outsource Google Ads creation, right, Mike?
Absolutely. That is the number one task. I'd say if you were going to drop everything else, like all the tasks of the basic dropshipping business model that we teach, that is the one thing that you should continue to do, because it doesn't take that long, especially once you master it. I'm talking like one time, like check on it once every 2 weeks or once a month even. But yeah, you cannot give the reins of that to someone else, because they don't know what they're doing, because they don't understand unless they've taken this course and you guys are like you're like partnering up with them and they understand it to that regard, maybe. But even then, if they don't have enough stake in the business, they may not care enough. So yeah, I don't think anyone is going to be willing to dig into ads and just understand things the same level as the business owner.
Yeah. Charles, I know you got to go soon, Mike. Charles Harmon says, your opinion, kind of quote site that has lots of quotes and quote categories make money. I think it could definitely make money. I was actually looking into maybe I'm gonna be starting a similar site soon. Actually today, it's on my list. It's not exactly quotes, but a similar concept. but it's going to come down to your execution of it. How good is your keyword research? Like, how are you trying to rank for quotes? I mean, certainly there are sites that are in the quotes game, but you're not going to. So one of the most common things that comes up with when you do the keyword research for quotes, it's like inspirational quotes, like inspirational business quotes. And so you're never ever probably going to rank for keywords like that without any modifiers. So I would make sure that you're doing good keyword research, and then you can make money from it. That's what it all comes down to. A site like that, I kind of picture. Almost dropped my mic. Very passive. You find the right keywords, you put the articles up, and kind of set it and forget it. Maybe add some new articles. Make some passive money from ads. Is it going to be a home run that earns you millions of dollars? I think that's unlikely, but it could be a nice little passive source of income if you execute on it right.
Yeah, and one secret thing that you can do is, depending on how ravenous the audience is for particular quotes, you can set up some sort of like daily quote email list within that site, but it would have to be the proper audience.
That's a whole separate business model. Not a separate business, but that's like a whole nother thing where like people make business models just on email lists. We've never done that, but we've definitely seen it done.
I mean, Kindle is kind of like that, but it's with a twist because it's Amazon based as well.
People do it without Amazon, which is always amazing to me when they're directing it back to their site. Anyway, save that for another episode. Dion.
Yep. This will be the last question.
Okay. How often do you pay the Google Ads bill? Do you wait out the month or pay as soon as possible?
They charge us every $500 that is spent. So I don't know if you mean the credit card bill. I mean, we pay it right away. We have to pay off our credit card like basically every day or every other day because there's so many things going through it. So I guess that's up to you. I don't see any reason why it would be an issue to wait it out as long as you're not going over on your credit card bill or something like that. So I don't think there's anything wrong with waiting until your statement comes in and all that, especially if it's on a business card. Watch the Mile Method podcast.
Yeah. Build Assets Online. Search for Build Assets Online credit cards. Great podcast. A must watch, must listen for anyone. All right. So let's wrap it up there. Mike's actually traveling right now. What fun.
Yeah.
Digital nomad lifestyle.
Haha.
Say hi to Peter Griffin for me.
Making Grange. I didn't know you know that. Yeah. All right. So shall we wrap it up?
Yep. All right, guys. BuildAssetsOnline.com/membership. Join the elite fleet. The price is going up this month. We're going to be talking about that soon, making the announcement. BuildAssetsOnline.com/playbook. Grab our free course. BuildAssetsOnline.com/asset. Our dropshipping course. BuildAssetsOnline.com/publish is our Kindle publishing course. So get all those things before it's too late for good. Yeah. All right.
As always, take it easy.